Now, there's a couple things you can do from here. In this particular case, we actually have the full text article right here. Now, each one of these is actually linked down. I think it's probably linked down to the bottom to the references. And in this case, because I'm using the library's database, it's already looking for the articles and showing me how to get to them. Now, these articles listed here are all the articles that the authors of this particular article reference. So these are all the ones that the authors of this article, Philip Guns and their colleagues, are referring to. So they're earlier articles. Now, most of these abstracts will also have things like cited by. Now, this particular one uses Scopus. The one we used before was Web of Science. There's about 3 or 4 different engines that they can use, different search engines and different databases they can use to sort of find out which articles have cited this. Now, what that means, the cited by, is this article was published in February of 2012. There's already 2 articles that refer to this one that have been published since then. Okay, so if you go down to the references, if we go down to the bottom again, these are the articles that the authors are referring to. Now, some of these are relatively recent, but some of these are quite old. But then if you go back up to the top and you go to cited by, you're going the other direction. Now, we call this snowball searching. Snowball searching means finding one thing you're interested in and letting the snowball roll down a hill and pick up new resources. And you can snowball search both to the past before the article was written, so that's how you use the references list, but you can also snowball search towards the present. That is, you can snowball search for things that are more recent. So in this case, the differences between Neanderthal and modern human infant and child growth models, there was another article that cites this one. So it turns out somebody's already come along in 2012 in the Journal of Human Evolution. They've looked at this article and they've got some comment on it. So it allows me to see how the research is being used, to see if somebody's disagreeing with it. This particular one, I would guess, is probably pretty interesting because it's by just judging from the title, they're looking at different kinds of models for how children grew. So that might be a really good article to look up because it'll put the other article in context. I'll be able to figure out what other people are arguing against this article that I was looking at before. So who's arguing against this? What are the alternative models? So nice thing again, since I'm using this database, article linkers right here. I can easily find it. Bang, go to it. Sure enough, pulls up a window. Do we have the article? Yep, we've got the article in the library. Now, if you're doing this on campus, it's super easy. If you're doing it from home, you just got to go in through the library gateway and log in using your ID. But by using these sorts of tools, in this particular case, I'm on Scopus. Before I was on Web of Science. They're both excellent engines. And in both cases, what you can do is you can actually, let's go to the abstract of this one. I'm going to click on it and go all the way to it. Let's just pulling up the abstract here. I'm going to push through into the actual listing of the article because it'll be more complete. This has, again, I can see the references that the authors use. They drew on 132 different articles. What you'll find quickly is that you get to pick and choose because there's so much stuff. The quality of modern scholarship is so good, in part because people know how to use these search engines, that if you find one good article, you can often find a heap more material on the same subject. Now, why we do this? So let me sort of go over again really quick what we're doing. To go back, Web of Knowledge allows me to search for any topic. So let me find it. I'll search for a new topic. I'll go here and let's say I want to search for we're just talking about, well, something we haven't talked about in class yet. Let's talk about human genetic diversity. So I'm interested towards it. So that's a topic. Just search, and it pulls up a heap of articles on human genetic diversity. Genetic diversity. I can look over here. Genetic. Let's see if we can. I'm gonna pick a journal that specifically looks at human evolution. So I'm gonna look at. Fortunately, they're not listed. Evolutionary biology. I'm going to look at anthropology. Because anthropology, if I know if anthropology is listed in the keywords, it's going to be about humans. So I'm going to refine down my instead of having thousands of articles, I'm down to 925. Still got a heap of them. So emerging genetic paths. Flickering genes of the last mammoths. That's interesting. Now, one of the things people ask me is, oh, sorry, that was a quick question. Here's a good one. We'll come back to this in a second. One of the things people ask me is, how do I know if an article is peer-reviewed? If it's in one of these, Scopus or Web of Science, the 2 that I've been showing you, it is peer-reviewed. These are serious journals. They're examined by scientists. Nothing gets published unless it's been examined closely. Where you can run into trouble is things like, magazines, Cosmos. If they don't have a list of references at the end of the article, odds are it's not peer-reviewed. Even some articles that have references are not peer-reviewed. So I would suggest that instead of finding something and trying to figure out if it's peer-reviewed, instead go straight to these search engines where you've got nothing but peer-reviewed articles. There's no point in getting something wrong and then trying to figure out if it's right or wrong. Just start with the sources that are going to give you the right answer. So all of these are going to be refereed articles. Now, this particular one, let me just go down to this article I was using as an example. Resequencing data provide no evidence of human bottleneck. The reason I looked at it and thought it was particularly interesting is we just discussed bottlenecks in lecture. So, resequencing the data shows no evidence of human bottleneck in Africa during the penultimate glacial period. Now, this looks interesting. Now, it hasn't. I can look down here. I can see times cited. It's so recent that nobody's cited. However, when I go to the abstract, now I got the article linker here, so I can go straight to the article if I want to. It's probably going to be a bit hard to read. Molecular biology and evolution. That does not sound like an easy journal, but that's fair enough. I can still get through it. I mean, I'm looking based on the accumulation of genetic, climatic, and fossil evidence. A central theory in paleoanthropology stipulates the demographic bottleneck coincided with the origin of our species, Homo sapiens. So I can follow that. That's interesting. Now, in this particular case, it's going to show that it actually has 74 things that it cites, and I can click directly on that and go straight to those sources. So again, using the right sorts of search engines gives me all this information. Now, at first, it's a little confusing. You first look at it, but you will quickly, if you use them a few times, you'll quickly cotton on to how this thing works. And in the process, you will find that you've discovered a whole new source of good material for all of your classes. Because the web of science, the web of knowledge, work not just in biology and anthropology, but they work across sociology, they work across all academic subjects, and they're only good sources. Now, the one thing you'll miss from these things, let's say I look at cited references, is you will miss books. Books are generally not included because book publishers don't provide that information. Now, if you want to find books, there's a relatively easy way to do that, which is to go to Google Scholar. Google Scholar is an engine like the others. Now, it's not as good in some sense because it does include some things that are not refereed. Google Scholar is a bit broader, but it sometimes pulls in, for want of a better word, pulls in crap sometimes. So sometimes you get, like, people publish a paper online and it shows up in Google Scholar, and it's not very good. So if, however, I'm interested in, let's go back to my article here. Resequencing data provide no evidence for human bottleneck. And I'll just copy that title. I'll plug it into Google Scholar. Okay, there it is. Oh, see, this is a great too. Even if you use Google Scholar, it has the same sort of article linker where you can either click on the article linker, or in this particular case, somebody's put a copy of this article up online, and you can find it from Google Scholar. That is, somebody's posted this on their website or on their department website or something. So this shows this article. Now, what's nice about this is, in some cases, I can I can see related articles, but I can also use this as a technique for finding. I'm going to have to go back a little further. Let's go back to this. Use this article. And I see my Google Scholars. It includes. Didn't work either. Let's get time cited. Cited by 11. I'm looking for a book. Looking for somebody listing a book on here. Proceedings of the National Academy. Note these are all journals. Molecular Biology Journal. Evolution Education Outreach is a journal. That looks like a dissertation. All right, this is somebody's. Here's an example. Google Scholar has pulled up somebody's dissertation. And I'm afraid that if I click on this, no, maybe not, it's going to give me the PDF, and I don't really want to download it. Here it is. Yeah, it didn't give me the PDF. Thank God. This is University of Michigan Library has a database where you can get people's dissertations. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this. Dissertations are long, hard slogs, but if you're really deep into your research, like if you're working on an honors thesis or something like that, this is great. So you can read the abstract, and then if you want it, you can actually download it here. So you can view or open this person's dissertation. This dissertation focuses on the use of mathematical modeling and statistical inference applied to it, yada, yada, goes on. All right, so what's the point? Using good search engines allows you to snowball search, and that's really what this whole assignment is about. It's finding a vein, a set of connected articles that are in a debate or in a discussion or building on each other, so you can begin to see how you're going to use these techniques, these research techniques, to be able to find background literature on key issues. Now, this is what we're asking you to do in the literature review, and I hope that this little tutorial, my first ever one that I've done, helps you to understand how to use all these tools in the Macquarie University Library, Web of Knowledge, Scopus, and other databases to find the articles, and then to realize both articles that are more recent, that are connected to them, but then also to look at their references to see what they're referring to. You can even use, a lot of these things have other tools as well, but I think those tools, the cited by and the references, are key. If you can focus on those, you'll very much be able to mine a good vein. And again, remember, these articles are going to be a stretch. We're not giving you pre-chewed food. These are the real thing. So some of these articles can be hard to understand. If you absolutely can't get it at all, find another article. Because there are science articles out there that are written quite well, and you will be able to read them. All right, that's for today on How Do I Do My Literature Review.